Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Vishnu
Jai.
Anam Trigura Vaishnav Devi
Jai.
Scom Vibhuti Founder Shil Prabhupada
Jai.
Go Brahman.
Hari Om.
All glories to the
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the Son.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the Son.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Shishi.
All glories to Shri Guru.
Om Agnati Vidandasya Ganagana Sinakya Shakshudam Vinitam Yanatasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishta Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tanane Namaste Saraswati Deve Guravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavali Paskatyari Satarine Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yana Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandaham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sham Shri Rupam Sagarayatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sarvaitam Savarutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitam Sham Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Prishavana Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakapatarubhyacha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate 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 Vasudevaya.
Welcome to all of you. Hare Krishna. So it's we are celebrating. I don't know if we're celebrating. We are commemorating worldwide in our ISKCON Hare Krishna movement that our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada traveled to the West 50 years ago, and he traveled in a humble way on a freight carrier, I think that's the right word, from India, so he crossed oceans. Okay, Hare Krishna. He crossed the ocean from Calcutta down to Sri Lanka, so there he's on the Indian Ocean, and then he goes over the Arabic, then he may land again somewhere by Mumbai, picking up his books. And then he travels on the boat over the Arabic Ocean, and then through the Mediterranean. That's not an ocean. And then over the Atlantic Ocean. And nuns in USA, the great country, where he starts to preach Krishna consciousness. Well, he was preaching Krishna consciousness all the time, but then he starts to preach, he's preaching there. So he crossed oceans, and we've been reading in the Bhagavatam this morning here also about how this material world is an ocean, or is also an ocean of birth and death. So Srila Prabhupada traveled over oceans, and he wants to bring us over the ocean of birth and death. So we get on safe ground beyond the, phantasmagoria of material existence. The phantasmagoria, we say, is very solid. Yes, it's very solid, but it can be gone in a moment, or very quickly. So it seems solid, it seems tangible, but it's constantly changeable in a certain way. And there is birth and there is death. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, it's a beginning sequence. There's birth and there's death. And then we can't argue with that. No, we don't like to think in those terms and walk around and be morbid and think about, I'm going to die. What to do? Have fun while you can, maybe someone say. Okay, so then it says, for one who is taking birth, death is certain. And then it says, for one who has died, birth is certain. So what's the problem? So that, in one way, that is for some at least, a relieving insight in the modern times, that it's not just that you take birth and then die, but then you take birth again. So give some hope that doesn't finish at that time of death. But of course, this may be will be a scary concept, that there is a life after death, because you don't know what it's going to look like. And usually we like to deal with things that we're familiar with. We're familiar with this. We're going to enter into some unknown, we're going to enter into another unknown existence. There may be darkness, and maybe all these stories about hell is true, who knows? We will be tortured by our bad conscience. That we are tortured by already know. Maybe done, if you killed people or done really nasty things like that, the images will stay with you there. I believe. With the soldiers and stuff, post-traumatic syndrome. All these things is hanging with them. It's not that just it's over. No, we're already now tortured by a conscience, by the memory. So what happens on the other side of death? Well, the Bhagavatam. So of course, if you're good, we say if you're a good guy, good things come. If you're a bad guy, you will get it back. So say you will. As you sow, you will harvest. So in the case of Prabhupada, wanted to bring us over the ocean of birth and death. It's not enough that we take birth and death, but birth after birth. And then we know the science of karma. So, let's get good karma here. Let's make some sacrifice. Let's buy some books of Srila Prabhupada and get a good karma, of course. That is a truly good karma, okay? That is because it's transcendental, but otherwise we maybe just have good acts, helping the refugees or the beggars, or someone being kind, being self-controlled in various ways. But that is not enough, because then you take birth in some place, maybe a nice place. You can take birth in heaven. Of course, you maybe don't believe that, but well, you don't believe in hell either. Still you're scared of hell, so there's also then the hope that there is a heaven. But then Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he smashes that idea. That is going to be nice in heaven. He says, Abrahma Bhuvanavaka. That from the topmost planet to the lowest planet is places of misery where repeated birth and death take place. So again, even you get to heaven, still there's birth and there's death. There's the beginning and the end. It's not a permanent happiness. And we want permanent happiness, because that's good luck. Because then we come to this Krishna consciousness. We give permanent happiness. Sometimes it's quite tough. We go on, because then later on we develop a love of Krishna, and then we read from the Krishna book how Krishna is enjoying wonderful pastimes with his devotees in Vrindavan, and one day he just leaves the citizens of the villagers there to cry in separation from him. So that we can say, what kind of permanent happiness is this? But that is a different quality of crying, of feeling of separation. That in itself is not just happiness, bliss, or it's a different state of being. That may not be fully understandable just from a superficial way of looking at it. But the idea is there, in spiritual life, on the spiritual platform, there can be eternal happiness because the soul is eternal. We are eternal. We are not changing. Well, that's the question. Are we changing or not? How far? What is this spiritual progress? What are we really doing? But there's a soul. You're sitting here now. I came here past, and even in the 80s we were here. First time I came to Copenhagen to distribute books was 1974, I think. Maybe it was 74, not 75, I think it's, or maybe 75, when we were staying in Christiania. There's some part called Paradise. I don't know if they still have that part left there. In any case, stayed some days and distributing. Okay, so that was then, and now things looks a little bit different. I may also look different in some ways. Age takes out a little bit, just a little bit, takes it right. So the point is that things may change like that, but still there is something that remains the same. I understand that is me. That truly remains the same, that's me. And as it truly remains the same in you, that's also you, so to say. So we try to catch the eternal, the essence, the eternal essence of the being, of the living being. And then if we get that platform, then we can know, okay, then, because Satchit Ananda, then we're eternal, Sat, and Chit, knowledge, we're conscious, we're not just eternal, we're also conscious. Knowledge is full of knowledge, we're fully conscious, our being is conscious. We can say our eternal being is conscious. We may be in a sleeping state to a certain degree, but in the bottom of that, or behind that sleeping state, there is some conscious being aware that you are sleeping. And that's you. There's a different levels. Awake level, dreaming stage, deep dreaming, and then the Turiya state, the transcendental state when we're beyond. So there may be contact with the supreme spiritual source. Actually it says when you sleep, take advantage, take a good sleep, okay? The soul actually contacts the supreme soul and kind of get recharged somehow or another. So if you don't sleep, you may go crazy. Because you don't, the natural function, everything here is a natural cycle. Okay, so, conscious. Okay, so we're conscious. So our being is conscious, but the consciousness may be covered by certain coverings or layers, and that's described in the Bhagavad Gita that, well, how do you say? Like the...
Fire is covered by smoke?
Yeah, fire is covered by smoke, but what is that with a tree? That's a tree also. There's fire covered by smoke, embryo covered by the womb. Okay, there's the embryo covered by the womb. Okay, you can see that there is something going on because it starts to become obvious at a certain point. That something is hiding there, but it's quite hidden. And then you have then next one is the we have the
Mirror covered.
there's mirror covered by dust. I think that's animals. And then you have the fire covered by smoke. So these are different layers. And they say what covers us is lust. It's different layers of lust. Desire, it was essential and subtle desires for enjoying in this world. And of course that sounds very good, let's enjoy and be happy, but in kind of, in the process we get dragged down into the modes of material nature and covered over. So we become like the embryo in the womb. And I think that was compared then with, okay, then that is compared with a tree. That seemingly seems quite dull, but you can give it a hug and ask a question and see what it says. It's my advice. They have their life also. Okay, but still, they're quite stuck there. They're quite stuck. I mean, it's standing there and they have to just tolerate everything. Okay, well, that's womb, so that's a different level of covering. But still, there is a soul, even in the tree, and that permeates it with consciousness. So the essence of the tree is a soul that gives it life. And then you have the mirror covered by dust. So maybe you can see something. So then compared with the animal, and then the tiger, I mean, the tiger as an example. So then there are more life symptoms, if you say like that, from our point of view. And then we have what? Then we have fire covered by smoke. So then, well, there's smoke, there's fire, and then when the fire becomes a little bit more strong, then there's like less smoke, and you can see clearly perceive. So in the same way, the human beings are meant to be like that. They're like the soul in the human being. We as human form, we are covered, but actually we're covered to some degree. There's some smoke, and smoke can make you black. And it can make a temple also black. Sacrificial fires, and I don't know how to make it. But anyway, smoke covers, okay, but it's still, you see the flame behind, from which, you can see the flame from which the smoke is coming. So that is compared then with the human beings. So there you can see, now those human beings, they have some brain. Is there any animal that has more brain than the human beings, the dolphins, and I don't know, the elephants, or I don't know if anyone, even though they may be very big, if they have a bigger brain than the humans, I don't know. In any case, when you compare it with the rest of the body, it's proportionately, I would say, our brain is the biggest to the rest of the body. So now the question is, how do we use the brain? Some say we only use 10% of the brain. So that's kind of we're lazy. We have all this brain, but we don't use it. You have wealth, but you don't use it. And you have wealth and you don't use it, and then you complain that you have nothing. Because you don't know. In one sense, we complain we don't have anything because we don't know how to access what we actually have. Actually, it's there, but we don't know what access is. That's the problem. And thus we complain we have nothing. Or we don't have enough. There is enough. We just don't use it. So that's a challenge, to use our God-given brain, or mind, intelligence. Okay, so then the evolution of the soul, and then we enter into the heavenly planets. But then Krishna says, what was it he said? Abrahma Bhuvana Loka. I'm sorry, I don't fully use my brain. Memories. No, not good at home. Where am I? 16. Abrahmabhuvanaloka punar avartinarjuna mamupetyatukantaya punadhamana vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. So that is his pessimistic observation. Is you get up there in the heavens and there's birth and there's death there also, maybe even old age and disease. Well, not so much. I understood you're living quite a happy life. But it will come to an end. It has a beginning and has an end. And thus, it's not fully satisfying to the eternal soul. So we, who are eternal beings, will not be fully satisfied with such a temporary situation, even though it may be very wonderful. And of course, if you're a little bit spiritually enlightened, then we'll get suspicious. This is so nice here. What's going on? Well, we have to watch out. We may forget the real purpose of our life in this very wonderful environment, the heavenly planet. So then, actually, the human form of life, actually the human life on this planet Earth, as we know it today, as described from the scripture, is actually the best place, the best world for all the spirit souls to be as human beings, because there we don't get. It's not too bad, but it's not too good either. So then we can actually get quite frustrated here and things. But in this position, we can inquire about the Supreme, Tattva Brahma Jigyasa. Now, here, as human beings, we ask, what is really the purpose of life? What's going on? Why birth? Why death? Why suffering? Why am I not happy? Where is everything coming from? Again, because that we have our scientific division of modern society, trying to figure out where everything came from, and speculate where everything came from. So I guess that's an important question. Where did it all come from? So this is for the human society. So we're very lucky. We're so lucky that we're sitting here today. We're lucky. By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, because he came 50 years ago. we luckily sit here and speak something or listen something. Don't worry, there will be something more coming also. So our process, the process actually is quite easy. We don't really have to do anything. In any case, what can the soul do? We think I'm going to do something, but actually, all we are asked to do basically is to sit down and hear about Krishna. And by sitting, it says sit down. I don't know, maybe you can stand up also, you can walk around a little. Well, not in the temple room. Maybe they need some fresh air, okay. But unfortunately. Sometimes people say they're going to have some fresh air. They go to smoke a cigarette. Take a deep breath of fresh air. Do some smoking, just to give it some taste. Okay, the point is, you actually don't have to do very much, and that is a challenge. We are used to want to do much and do something, get something done, achieve things. But actually, our challenge is to actually just, so to say, sit down and hear about Krishna. Okay, on Sunday, 45 minutes in the morning, something. And then you can add more hearing. Of course, then we can have nice kirtans also. Nice kirtan, that's also here. We're chanting and hearing. And then we have our kirtan melas where I think you have had one here. Your own kirtan mela, and coming together and sitting down and singing nicely and hearing, and that way purifying the consciousness. But then also we can have Bhagavat Saptaha. We haven't started with that. But like prolonged hearing, and that is it's a challenge to just sit down and hear. but it's very purifying. Sit down and here or stand up. Or, okay, we have our standards and we sit up. Some other place maybe they lay down on here. Okay, so here, so the soul, so then this transcendental, hopefully it's not, no, somewhat transcendental sound vibration, it's transcendental sound vibration, sound vibration is coming down for the disciple succession, as is spoken by the acharyas and spoken by Krishna. So you have the Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam which speaks about Krishna, and Bhagavad Gita spoken by Krishna, but in Bhagavatam Krishna is also speaking. So we hear, and that is a nice thing. We don't really have to do so much more than that to achieve perfection. Okay, here, text 16, chapter 8, it says, Abrahma bhuvanaloka punar avartanarjuna mam kantiya punajanmana vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. So that's Krishna's verdict. And then it says, but one who attains to my abode, the son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So that is a positive. There's a negative information and there's a positive information. So maybe putting up these negatives and let's repeat it. Go to heaven. Don't think you will be happy in heaven. Not forever. Maybe you come to Denmark or you come to Sweden, or Swedes goes to India or Mediterranean or something. We're now going to be happy because it's going to be nice weather. We're going to be, well, not in Denmark, but in Mediterranean. coming here, think everything will be nice here. Well, that would be birth and death and worries and anxieties. But, Krishna says, one who tends to my abode never takes birth again. So that is a promise. That's what Krishna wants of us. He wants to get out of the ocean of repeated birth and death and enter into the spiritual world that is beyond this. There is transcendental water, transcendental oceans, an ocean of bliss. Transcendental spiritual satisfaction, and it's eternal. Never takes birth again. He is eternally there, and that is the position, that is the natural situation for the soul, where it's meant to be, so to say. The eternals are meant to be with the eternals. I sometimes also, birds of the feather flock together. A little bit, birds of the feather flock together. Even as devotees, sometimes we're a little bit different feathers in some way. But we flock together in various combinations where we happily serve Krishna together, hopefully. So then Krishna, okay, he just says, but one who attains to my abode. So how to attain to Krishna's abode? Just sit down here. That's it. Got this. This is nice. Practical verse in the Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 14, text 3. Let's see if I get it together. 14. Yes. Jnane prayasa mudapashyanamanta eva jivanti sanmukaritam bhavadiya vartam stane stita srutigatam tanuvan manobir ke prayaso jita jito pyasi taistrilokyam. So this is Lord Brahma speaking to Lord Krishna. Lord Brahma has tried to trick Krishna, the little coward boy. Who is this little coward boy? That's a